So, does cardio help you lose weight? Seems like the most obvious question in the world, right? Of course it helps you lose weight. It helps you burn more calories, thus you lose more weight. And that's what you read everywhere. Do more cardio, lose more weight. There are endless blogs showing you how many calories, each exercise burns. And, people read these things and they choose their cardio based on that. So in today's video, we're going to discuss whether cardio actually helps you lose weight. And, in many cases it can, obviously, but it is not a given. And there are some good reasons why. So I'm going to start off by showing you a study, and it's a little bit of a crazy one, quite a selective one. But basically what they did was they took a bunch of women and they gave them 3 hours, 2 hours, 1 hour, or no steady state cardio for 6 months. So for 26 weeks. And what they found was no significant difference in weight or in fat loss. And rather comically, the people that did 3 hours a week, so they did, let's see, what is that? 78 hours of cardio, lost less fat than the people who did nothing. That is not a great return for 78 hours of cardio. Can you imagine that? 78 hours of cardio, lost the same amount of weight that people did nothing. And they obviously had health benefits from all that cardio, but they were just doing it at 50% of their heart rate. Now I'm going to show you another study, this one, where they did this is for 10 months. They did nothing 5 times 400 calories or 5 times 600 calories, but this was at 80% of their heart rate. And obviously they lost a lot. So they lost, 5.2 on that side and 3.6. So in terms of body fat, 3 points. So the people who did more cardio lost more body fat, but that is 10 months of 5 times 600 calories. That is a lot of cardio. So what the hell is going on? Why could you do all this cardio and not lose weight? Well, here's the thing. People think it's purely just adding calories. I'm just adding calories to my day. And that is not how it works out. That's just not how it works out. So your kind of energy expenditure, when we think about it technically doing it properly, there is your BMR, so your basal metabolic rate, your thermal effective food, so this is just digestion, and there's your NEAT, this is how much you kind of fidget, move around in the rest of the day, the steps you take, your job, your posture control, lots of really interesting stuff in here. And then there's your exercise. And the people are just too simplistic. People think, well, I'm just adding exercise. So what happens when let's say you do an hour of cardio, let's say it's, reasonably hefty. You might do like 500 calories if you were pushing it, but, some of those calories you wouldn't burn anyway. So let's say that you add 400 calories to your expenditure for the day. Terrible, Pen. So people just assume that extra expenditure, extra weight loss. Well, things happen here. What generally happens is your BMR and your TF, that stays the same, but mostly. But your NEAT is often reduced. People fidget less, people move less in the rest of the day. So sometimes when you do the extra cardio, your extra 400 calories doesn't necessarily add 400 calories to your expenditure. Then there's the second question. What happens to how much food you eat? There are two things. Sometimes people get hungry and they eat more. Sometimes people think they've deserved the extra food, so they eat more. And sometimes a cardio can blunt your hunger and you eat less. So it really, really will depend. And this is basically what happens. If cardio ends up blunting your hunger and you're burning more energy and you get something like this, then you are going to lose a bunch of weight, right? Because you're expending a lot more than you're intaking. If you end up burning more calories, but you equal that out with extra food, you'll get no real result. You'll get health outcomes from cardio, but you get no real result. And if you fidget less, you do a bunch of intervals, but for the rest of the day, it makes you more stagnant. You don't walk around and, you fidget less. So you end up expending less. You can end up expending less. And you think to yourself, oh, I've done brilliant there. I've done the exercise. I'll eat some more. Or you get hungry like this. You can gain weight. And there are people that train for marathons that gain weight. So it's a fluid situation, and you can lose or gain weight with cardio, but just don't assume because you've done some cardio that you will lose a whole bunch of weight. That's not necessarily the case. If you've got a sensible nutrition plan and you're adding cardio to that, that can be genius. I personally, with my clients, I use cardio as an adjustment down the line. So often we will add cardio as things start to slow down and people don't want to cut their food any lower. Perfectly fine. Now, lastly, I just want to say this is not an anti-cardio video. I would always recommend that everyone do probably, if you can do an hour of cardio and you gradually increase the intensity over time, I think that's amazing, because quite simply, cardio, your cardiovascular fitness, is one of the best predictors of longevity that we know. So stick someone on a treadmill, see how long they last. That fitness, that level of fitness, is simply one of the best predictors. So what this is years ago, they were worried about a couple of people died, doing endurance stuff, and they were worried that there was a point at which getting too fit gave you a higher risk of death. And then when they looked at the studies, they looked at all the data from some big stuff. Basically, the fitter you are, the less likely you are to die soon. So, cardiovascular fitness is just one of the best types of fitness possible for longevity. This is not an anti-cardio video. I'm just saying you need to think about it. If your intention is weight loss, you need to think about what you're eating and how your cardio fits into your dynamic energy balance, because that is what will determine whether or not you lose weight. Thanks so much. Make sure you sign up for the channel. There's a free cheat sheet flopping around, and give us a like or a shout and tell us what you'd like me to do. Thanks so much for your time. Bye.